All right, let me know if everyone can see this.
I can see your whole screen, yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. That's not.
Wait a minute.
I'm going to let you talk this. All right, it's all yours.
Awesome. All right, everyone. My talk today is on breaking Ren'Py, how our Pseudo-OS pushes Ren'Py even further beyond. For a little bit of background about me, I am Tristan. People call me Wolf online. I am the studio director of Watercress, and I am the narrative director of Imagibeat. That studio is the one that is making the Pseudo-OS. I have been making visual novels for about 7 years now, with roughly 17 VN releases, everything from project direction to just small time editing and everything between. But mostly I focus on leadership and narrative design. So disclaimer, I am not a programmer. This presentation is created with input and feedback from Imagibeat's technical director, who also is like the primary artist and who made all of the art for the OS. But the presentation is not designed by him. Much of what happens under the hood cannot be explained in this talk. We don't have enough time, nor am I equipped to explain that without expert input. But anything that can't be answered by the Imagibeat lead who is watching this conference, or it can't be answered in general, then you can send that over to the Watercress Gmail. Let's title it VNConf 2022 questions, something like that, and we'll get back to it. So Watercress, the studio, we are a developer and publisher, founded in 2014, a bunch of volunteers, and we've had over 14 releases in Steam and on itch.io. Imagibeat is the studio leading this project. You can see the Twitters at Imagibeat Studio. They were founded in 2020, and they are a freelance studio. And we are developing the work in progress title Project Aria, and Watercress is supporting that effort as well. So an overview for today's talk. We are going to be going over the TLDR of the OS, our goals in making the OS, a short feature list, potential future features we're looking into, how the OS and the narrative interact, and then just a general conclusion, and we'll have a Q&A at the very end. So the Pseudo-OS is built solely in Ren'Py with no outside libraries, inspired by Microsoft Windows XP. It has some standard OS functionality with more to come, and it smoothly transitions between VN and OS modes, and you can save and load between them as well. It includes pseudo apps like IRC, media player, image viewer, internet browser, and more. And there are customization options that will be fleshed out as we continue working on this project. This is also planned to be open source once the engine is done. So post-release, we will make sure that everyone can have access to this and use it in their own projects.
Hey, Wolf, one question. Do you have slides or am I staring at an OS?
The slides are in the OS. You should be able to see them, right?
I don't see them. I see your logo, which is very weird.
Okay, so that means that it's only showing a still image. So I'll have to look into that.
Oh, suddenly you moved it and then I can see Imagibeat. I don't know why.
All right, let me try something. Let's see. Let's see if I can do an app. All right, now let me know if you can see everything and all the changes happening.
I hear clicks, but I'm not seeing any changes. It's like it's caching the thumbnail for some reason.
That is odd, yeah.
It's just some weird interaction with Zoom. Pretty sure.
This is a Zoom thing for sure. So I tried to share.
It said overview, and then like it doesn't screen refresh very much. It seems to be.
Okay, let's see.
And then you're dragging around the empty gray box, which
that is the share window. Let me see if I can click the optimize for video clip real quick. Now can you see the changes?
Yes, now things are changing. So
awesome.
That's what it is.
Okay. All right. So what you missed was basically a disclaimer, Watercress, Imagibeat, and then the overview. So in this is the Pseudo-OS TLDR, which I went over. Let's go ahead and start from goals so I don't take up too much of our time. And thank you for checking up on that for me. I appreciate it. All right, so our goals for this OS was that it needed to be immersive. It should feel like a mid-2000s experience from boot to shutdown. And all features and functions must work alongside the standard visual novel mode. It also needs to be fully accessible. All features and functions must pass accessibility features, keyboard only, mouse only, variety of settings, etc. We want it to be customizable, both by the user and by the developer. So the developer being able to make new pseudo apps and modify current ones alongside having options for the player to change the look and feel of this pseudo OS. And then we, at the last of the goals is performance and design. We only want to include features that are smooth, and we don't want to overload the OS. Yeah, we don't want to have the OS be so large that it can't run on most computers, or that like it actually pushes Ren'Py too far. The TLDR feature list. We have the OS and IRL game sections. We have a My PC downloads file structure system. We have the control panel for unified settings, the IRC chat room. We have an image viewer that views images. We have a pseudo-internet browser. We have music playback. We have a save load progress manager, and then a download manager, and then some MISC features like a help function with tooltips, a rendered cursor that makes sounds when you click on it, and it is actually a different cursor. It's not what you would have for your system default. And then a clock that counts up in the game, and then customization. For potential future features, we want to look at maybe a video player if possible. We want to flesh out the gallery and the music playlist. Want to have a pseudo art tool, which we'll talk about why later. And then email functionality, the ability to minimize and resize app screens, movable desktop icons, more tooltips and guided tips, a stronger help menu, and then a post-game sandbox mode where you can just go around the OS and view things you might have missed the first time. So the OS and narrative. The setting of our game, Project Aria, follows characters that are all roughly college age. It's in the mid-2000s, and it's set in the southern United States, and all the characters are roughly lower to lower middle class. So this means that the OS needs to have quote unquote slower internet speeds. The computer itself should be an older computer, and the people using this should need freeware apps since they don't have a lot of money. The characters are either artists or friends of artists with a common culture, which is why we want the art tool eventually. And we really wanted to hit on the 2000s vibe without going full My Immortal. And the OS, we want it to be a tool for plot and conflict, not just something pretty that will sell a game or make people play it. We want to show what it's like to be in long distance friendships, show character trauma, how poverty and class impacts their communication and relationships. And the OS itself is supposed to interact and influence the narrative, which we will talk about later. The conclusion for the little slideshow before I jump into the actual OS is that we want to show for this presentation that Ren'Py is really flexible. If you can if efficiently utilize the Python, you've basically won Ren'Py. It proves that scalability of Ren'Py for larger projects is a thing. This is a pretty big project. In that when you are working in Ren'Py, you're mostly restricted by your imagination and time. Digital Love Story, a really famous visual novel from 2010, uses Ren'Py, and you can see how that completely changed the look and feel of a visual novel. And that was 12 years ago. You can do even more today. And that everything from RPGs to dating sims are possible in Ren'Py. And then community is a really big thing for Ren'Py. Contribute to a large community of devs using this engine. And I say this every time we talk about Ren'Py, but you can't beat direct contact with the engine's lead developer. Shout out to Ren'Py Tom for some help and feedback when we were making this project. We'll look into the Q&A later. Alrighty, so I am going to shut down real quick and I'm going to restream to make sure that it works because I want to show the boot up process. So let me go to screen share again real quick. And let's see if it will work. So screen 2, optimize. I'll share. And then I will launch the game and let me know if you can see this.
Yep, work in progress.
Awesome, thank you. Obviously, bugs and crashes are gonna happen. Hopefully not in this tech demo though. So this is our boot screen. This works like most standard screens before a game. It just looks nice, but a lot of it is really meant to immerse you in the narrative and in the OS itself. So here is the welcome screen. We are going to start by showing you some of these. Like the help button shows you keyboard and mouse hotkeys, and we're going to be expanding help in the desktop itself eventually, but that functionality isn't in yet. And next, I will show you load. It's pretty standard, looks just like a normal Ren'Py load menu, and it works in a pretty similar manner. We have the settings menu, which has normal display settings. We have the LCD filter, which adds the little vertical pixel lines, and then a dithering as well to get that really old computer feel. We have the sound. I have turned down the sound before the talk because it's really loud, but if you can hear, you should be able to hear some PC background noises and some music. If not, that's okay. And then accessibility, which we will be fleshing out as we go, but tutorials is set on. And then the typewriter we'll talk about once we get to IRC. Alrighty, so next we will start the new game. And here we will get our first customization. I prefer the user icon of the signs. That's my favorite. And then we will enter, let's just say, let's just do my real name. There we go. And then we will press finish to move forward. And to start, we are just going to look through some of the apps. I have a list of the order to do them in, just so we hit everything. All of this isn't railroaded. You can actually access everything in whatever order you want. But for the sake of the talk, I'm just going to go in order. So first, I'll look at the control panel, which you can access from the desktop or the begin menu. When you open it, it brings up this menu. You can move the text box and everything. And from here, we will look at the settings options. Yet again, we have the filters and then audio. And here, I'm actually going to keep on the LCD filter so we can get a feel for it for a little bit. And from here, we can look at the settings for the desktop. We can go to a classic mode in a new background, and it updates. I prefer the more Vista-esque feel, so we will keep with that one. The next, I will show you the Progress Manager, which is the simple save and load. But for the sake of showing everyone the functionality, I'm going to save 2 games. I'm going to show that you can delete a save, and it brings up the pretty iconic menu box that is modeled after the, I believe this XP, or is it 7? One of those. And you can delete the save. And then real quick, just to show, let's load a save. There we go. And then we will look at my PC. We have the local disk drive C, which is locked for now. And it gives you the nice error sounds, and you can't click off of this. But this will be fleshed out in the future. And we have the option for boxes to kind of lock up the game. That way, for certain really taxing events, you can make sure the player finishes it first. Then we'll look at downloads. And we will look at images. These are all of my PowerPoint slides. As you can see, go to the Q&A here. But here is the forest background as well that we have in here. You can click back and forth between all the images. But we will look at that forest background again later. Actually, we'll do it right now. You know what? Let's do that right now. Let's go to the control panel. Let's go to settings. Let's go to desktop. And we will set the forest as our background now. Now that you've seen the forest in the folder, it's now available for the background. I'll keep the purple. Okay, and then next we will look at the website, or the NetSurfer2 as we call it. We only have one website for now, but it is really simple to make new websites. So that's just, we wanted to make the engine first. Everything else will come later. We can type in using our keyboard. It will automatically input a word. In this case, it is puppy. We'll click the search, and then we get to see some nice puppies. We can also click back to go back to the website, the puppy again. But there is an RNG element we have as an Easter egg. Let's see if we can get it to work. Only take a few tries, I believe. All right, let's try one more time. Maybe we'll see it later. There it is, cats. In Google search. And then you can see the cats, because cats are adorable. Okay, so next we're gonna go to the media player. Media player I think is really cool. Right now, the playlist is empty. We will add more to it in just a sec, but it has pretty standard functions, skip, pause, and we will actually, I'll open up the settings in the toolbar in the bottom right, and let's go to audio, and you can see that the audio bar here is the same. And then also we have a little bite-sized media player. So you click on the arrow and it makes it really small. Alrighty, let's go to the IRC, which is probably took the longest out of any of the functions. So for this, first I'm going to quick save in the top left. And then here we can input a custom name. This is not the name for our windows, because the Windows name you see here in begin is the name that the characters will use in the IRL section of the game. Here is our IRC name. So my screen name here. Press enter. Little help key here that will tell us how the typewriter works. So I type on the keyboard and it automatically fills it in. You can send it. And then here, it swaps to some narration in the IRL section of the game. There's no load time. It was pretty much instant. So the main character is looking around the room, talking about going on a trip to Alabama, getting to see his friend again. Thankfully, they bought a bus ticket. So we will continue in the IRC. You know, everyone's talking. You have the online list you can set yourself. Some people can go in and offline. But you can also see images from links. These links aren't live links. They're links in the engine. And you can see this is a picture of my cat, Kiwi. And I had to put her here because she is adorable and everyone must worship her. And I will close that for now. If you guys want to see her again, ask me. And now that we have seen the adorable cat, we can type forward and it'll show that OMG, that picture of the cat. If we didn't click on that link, this wouldn't show. So clicking on links can impact the narrative of the game. And then we have a wait time for each person to type, which also is modifiable. Talking about my cat all day because that's what I do. And I am going to quickly go to settings, just so I can skip some text in case this ends up going on too long. All right, so ask me how I'm doing. Pretty good. And then Arya here wants to go talk in DMs. So in a second, we will get to talk in private chat to one of our online friends. Just wait for this cringy wolf guy to stop talking. We'll get over there. All right, and then we have the blinking here that shows that the Aria private chat is open. He says hi, we can say hi back. We will keep going. Here, she links a download to a song. And before we go on the song, I'm going to open up the progress manager in the toolbar. I'm going to save the game. And I will load that later just to show the differences. All right, so to download, we just click on it. You have a little download manager here. And then it simulates how long it takes to download. If this were, if we wanted to be really cruel to our players, we would make it feel like it used to be. But we don't want to have people waiting here for 5 minutes to download a song, or hours back in the day. So we open the file, and then it plays a music track for us. You can increase the volume, decrease the volume. Later on, we'll have a timer here to track as well for the mini version. But for now, we just have the scrolling bar. We also have another song in here that you can skip back and forth from. So you can listen to all the tracks. We're going to let this play for a little bit, primarily because you can, or the game detects how long you've listened, or it detects if you've listened to the song for 10 seconds. That way it can impact the narrative, you know, make sure that the your friends, that you're listening to your friends' stuff. All right, now we can keep talking. I'm going to skip through just for the sake of time. And here we went over to another private chat because Lydia wants to talk to us. Here, Lydia is going to ask us about the ticket. We're just going to say that we bought it. And then we can go back to the other chat and notice that she sent a message while we were gone. There is background message functionality in the IRC chat. All right. So we will go to settings again, and I'm going to turn on the automatic typewriter just to show how that works. So now it'll automatically type this for me. This is an accessibility setting, which we really wanted to make sure we had in the game. Then we can continue moving forward. So as we keep going, we will see that our friend is having some troubles at her house. We can choose to talk to her about it. We can go back to the group chat, or we can just talk about the song. She seems really cagey, so we'll just talk about the song. This option will change if you haven't listened to the song. And then we will skip through this real quick. And then here is the IRL section of the game with some standard choices. We will flesh out some of the UI here later on as well. And here we can pin the sidebar menu that is hidden out of the way. We can also modify the opacity of the text box. Pretty simple stuff. And here we will save the game again. We will load the game and go back over here. And here what we will do is we won't listen to the song. Skip through again. so you don't have to reread everything. Almost there. And actually, real quick. Oh, in here you can see that the IRL VN portion of the game can show up as well, overlaid over the OS function. While we're here, I'm going to just turn on dithering for a short amount of time, just so YouTube doesn't hate us. Welcome back. What's going on? Then want to talk about it? Nah. And then again, for the sake of our sanity and for YouTube's compression, let's get rid of that dithering. So here, I still need to download that song you've sent. That shows that you haven't downloaded it. If you did download it but didn't listen to it, it would also be different. So we will go through this. Alrighty. And then now that we've done that choice and we've seen it, we're just going to go ahead and load our save from IRL just to show that you can load between the two. And here, maybe we'll play some games. Fun waste of time, but it couldn't distract me from my excitement of seeing my friend. And then from here, it jumps to the actual main menu of the game. Something that's being worked on still, but it'll have all of the settings. Also some parallax will be involved as well. And then here's the load section of the game. So from here, one last final thing I want to show everyone. Let's go to new game and quickly go through all these options. I'm going to skip through all of this. I just want to show you what happens when we open all of the apps. So we have my PC. We'll open up downloads. Let's open up an image. Let's open up IRC. Let's open up NetSurfer. Let's open up the media player. We'll open up the settings. I believe I'm missing one thing. Let me see. There we go. Now that we have enough windows open at the same time, the taskbar at the bottom goes from their full names to little icons, which you can swap through just by clicking on them. Then let's just close all of that. Alrighty, and that is the end of my presentation for this. Again, this is all a work in progress, and we want this to be open source once we're finished. A lot of new features will be added as we get there. And I think I saw a question about how long it took us to make this. I think it's been about a year, between a year and 2 years, I would say. But yeah, so that is the end of my talk. Feel free to ask me any questions that I hopefully can't answer.
This is amazing. And I just want to comment for the record that a bunch of us older people are like, oh my God, this is such a throwback.
I know, right? Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Reminds me of the old gateway I used to have.
Yep. I'm like, they're like, can we have the modem noise? I was wondering why it didn't blue screen on you. So
Oh, we have plans for a blue screen for sure. We have talked about the Easter eggs we want to include. Blue screen is one of them.
All right. Any questions other than everyone's just like stunned at how amazing it is? Nai's been actually wondering how many people have been working on this.
So let me double check. We had, I think 4 programmers have been touching this over time. If I am wrong, Snek, you can correct me in the chat, but I believe it's been 4 people, 4 programmers.
Well, Maxi is wondering, are these all shaders have you been using?
That is a good question that I cannot answer. So Snek, if he's here, he can answer, but I don't believe they're shaders, but I don't want to say anything I don't know.
Cool. All right, we are right about at time. So thank you for showing this. This is nuts. Someone's asking, can you resize the app windows?
We are looking into resizing in Engine. I'm not sure how successful it will be, but we're looking at it. You can resize them using the standard like Ren'Py UI stretching and stuff when you're making them, but in Engine, not yet, not currently.
Cool. All right, I believe Angel is next. I might have pronounced that funny.
It's Angel, but that's fine.
Angel, yeah. Cool.
All right,
You are on deck. So